Okay, so Spencer Lee, welcome to the World Wealth Creation Conference 2017 in Singapore. And you are recognized as one of the youngest ever trainers in trading in the local area.
I guess I started off pretty early, and well, in the past, many of the trainers used to be a lot of people used to associate trainers with a much older, more experienced veteran traders. So it was a bit challenging coming out at the start. You had to be like twice as good. You had to be you really had to do a lot more research. You had to have a much more impressive track record, a much better analysis, just to be able to compete. To be on par. Partly because of the perception. Maybe it's a lot of, I guess, in the Asian context, people still view age as an indication of experience, right? So it was quite a challenge at the start, right? But over time, as you gain more traction, and as you basically let the results speak for themselves, and over time, people will realize that experience is not always related to age.
Wonderful, and you're also known as the Asia's #1 lifestyle trader. So how did you get that nickname?
I'm not really sure how they derived that, but I will say that a lot of my strategy, or rather one of my key strategy is the 15-minute strategy, right? So because I noticed that a lot of people who wanted to learn trading, one of the biggest things holding them back is the lack of time, right? So coming from a professional trading background, where I had to trade full time, I realized that I actually could compact, instead of having to look at the screen all the time. If I were to extend the time frame, I actually could trade a longer swings in the market, so I didn't have to be in front of the screen all the time, right? So in fact, I could actually just spend like 15 minutes a day trading, right? So most of the time I actually engage in a lot of maybe lifestyle activities. I mean, I travel a lot, right? I've been to more than 50 countries, right? So maybe
wow.
So maybe that is why they call me the lifestyle trader, because as I'm traveling, I have a lot of photos of me trading at like exotic places, trading on the go, right? Because that is actually how I train my students to do it as well, right? So a lot of my students, they become like full-time, say like sort of full-time travelers and part-time traders, basically trading and traveling for a living, right? So because to me, I don't see a point of like working hard. I don't see a point of like working your whole life just for money, right? So it needs to be a balance between earning money and spending money, right? Which is spending the money on improving your lifestyle, enjoying life in general. So I believe that this 15-minute system, right, is actually a good balance, because it allows you to earn money while at the same time, maybe not just enjoying life, but also pursuing activities that are meaningful to you, right? Whether it's spending time with your family, starting a new business, right, or just pursuing your own hobby, right? The key thing is that the trading gives you a financial security, which you can then so you don't have to worry, right, about the lack of money, right? So I think that's where it all started from.
So it sounds fantastic that modern technology, you can literally do so many businesses from anywhere in the world, literally sitting on a beach, and trading, obviously online trading is one of those things. So in terms of starting out, would a large capital investment be required to be able to do that effectively?
Actually, contrary to what many people think, I actually feel that it's better to start out with a small capital, right? For the simple reason that when people start out with a large capital, that is because they want to sort of transit into doing it full time for a living, right? Like trade for a living, live off their trading profits. But that's actually a very dangerous way to go about, because something that makes more sense would be to do a more progressive transition. For example, you start off first by doing it part-time, right? And if you are doing it part-time for say a few months and a year, and you find that you are making consistent profits, then you can scale up your account, and then slowly transit into a full-time full-time trading, right? That actually makes more sense, right? Rather than just jumping in straight into something for large capital, right? And also because traders tend to, the truth is that traders usually don't make money right from the start, right? The way it starts off is you start off by losing money, right? And then you start off by losing less money, right? And then you stop, you don't lose money, and then you make a bit of money, and then you start making money, right? So the thing is, if you are starting off with a large capital at the initial phase where you are losing a lot of money, you are going to lose a bulk of your capital, right? So it's actually better if you start off small, you lose a bit here and there, but at the same time you hone your skills, right? So that when you actually do have the skills, then you still have the bulk of your capital left, to start trading. So I think that's actually a more logical approach, right, to trading part-time as well as full-time.
Absolutely, and you of course train those skills. What is the name of your school?
The name of my company is Synapse Trading.
Wonderful, and can anybody in the world sign up for that?
Currently we do most of our live training courses in Singapore, right? But we are looking to expand to do a lot more online training, right? Currently we do get quite a few people who fly in, overseas to attend our trainings. Right? We have people from China, Japan, UK. So we do get these people flying in, right? Which is why we have been focusing on live training. But we hope to really expand, to a global audience, right? Through online training, right? To utilize, technology, media, right? It really makes sense to do so.
Wonderful. And one of the trending areas of investments currently is, of course, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Neo and Ethereum. All of these cryptocurrencies have seen, particularly Bitcoin, incredible growth even in the last few months.
So one of the things that, because when I first started, right, I actually traded a lot of stocks, right? And then as the stock market sort of died down, we transited into Forex, right? And over time I realized that, a lot of my students were using the same strategies to trade like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. So I realized that, there is a lot of interest in that market, right? So we started to take a more detailed look, and now we actually are starting doing training on cryptocurrencies as well, right? So one of the biggest things that has been discussed is whether Bitcoin, is it a bubble or is it, something that's here to stay, right? So personally, I think that, the blockchain technology, right, is something that is here to stay, right, because it has really a lot of applications, right? So Bitcoin being the one with the biggest market capitalization, is kind of like the blue chip of the crypto market, right? So I think that the Bitcoin is something that, will most likely be here to stay as well, right? Because being one of the first, right? So as to whether it is a bubble, right? I think a lot of speculation, comes about because of this meteoric rise, right? It's rising too fast, right? So from a price action perspective, basically, reading the charts, right? Such a meteoric rise is usually reminiscent of something that's like a climatic movement, right? So that movement, I will say it is a bit climatic because it's going up too fast, right? It cannot keep going up, at such a pace, right? So what I feel is that it will eventually stabilize, right, into something of a more gradual uptrend, right? But it's going to be a long-term uptrend, right? So so what will happen as the market capitalization increases, right? It's also going to be lead to something that's more and more stable, because like a penny stock with a small market cap is volatile, right? But as it transits into a mid cap and a blue chip, it will become more and more stable. So I think we will see the same life cycle for Bitcoin, right? So personally, doing a bit of like fundamental valuation, right, is actually very hard because you don't really have anything that's similar to it, right? But the closest thing that people have benchmarked to will be something like gold, right? It's used as a safe haven for like an alternative currency, right? So if we use like say 10% of the cap of gold, right, as a projection for Bitcoin, right, then the Bitcoin price should be somewhere around 38,000, right? So I think that would be a reasonable target, right? That we are aiming for in the long run. And also we will continue to accumulate like the currencies until we see Bitcoin hit there before we reevaluate, and see how things are going, right? So that's currently my personal take on the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.
It's certainly worth investigating, and anybody that wants to consider it should definitely take probably a lot of advice from somebody like yourself who studies trading practices and the right methodologies to use.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your time here, Spencer. Right. If there's one more thing you could say to anyone who's starting out in the world of trading, one piece of advice you could offer them, what would you say?
Well, I seem to get this question quite a lot, right? So I will say that the most important thing is really to get started, right? So it doesn't matter where you start, because a lot of people, they face a lot of inertias, like it's like something that's a whole new realm, trading, investing. I don't even know where to start, so I feel that the biggest, the best way really just to dive into it, pick, it could be as something as simple as like reading a book, or going to a website, right? And I would recommend going to my website, right? We have a lot of like videos. I've written more than 1,000 articles on trading, investing, so just reading some of that, as the more you read, the more you will your interest will grow, right? You'll slowly accumulate the knowledge, right? And of course, if you want to get some hands on, you could just open an account, trade some small position, right? Just to get an idea of what trading, investing is about, right? And then slowly over time you accumulate the knowledge, because these things don't come overnight, right? Of course, if you attend a training or something, you could accelerate the learning process, right? By the end of the day, it's really like a personal learning journey that everyone has to go through, right? And I would say that it's not whether you want to or not. It's like more of like a matter of time. It's when you're going. Because some people, when they're young, they think it's something that's not important, right? And then later when they are like in their 40s, they start to realize, hey, there's this trading, investing thing. I think I should get started. But by that time, it is too. I won't say it's too late, but it is going to be harder, right? So something like that. The earlier, the better, right? So you can see now the trend is that a lot of people are starting, much earlier and earlier, right? Even in their teens, right? They are starting, right? So for me personally, I started when I was like around 20 or so, right? So that at the time was considered really early. Right?
Old man.
Yeah, but now, people are actually starting, even earlier, right? So I think that's a good trend, right? Going forward, right? So and also always be open to learning new things, right? So for me, when I first came across cryptocurrency, it's something that's new to me as well, So I could simply say, like, I don't know about it, it's too risky, it's a bubble, and I totally ignore it, right? But what I did was actually, to study it, to really decide, right, whether it's something worth investing in, to do the research, right, and to learn from other experts, right? So, it's always a non-stop learning process. Down the road, there could be new products that come in the market, right? So it's always, when it comes to trading, investing, it's really just a lifelong, exploration and learning, right? So that's my take, to never stop learning, right, and to get started, right, as soon as possible.
Absolutely, and definitely education is everything there. And can you remind me of your website again?
Synapse Trading, right? So that's www.synapsetrading.com.
Wonderful. Spencer Lee, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.